Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Members of council, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest this evening? I see none. Then we'll move to the adoption of the council minutes held February 1st. Looking for mover is Councillor Verbicki, supported by Councillor Jacobs. Discussion on that motion? All in favor? And carried. And looking for a mover and seconder for the special closed meeting held February 1st as well. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Hammond. Discussion on that motion? All in favor? Carried. Is there any business arising out of those minutes? I see none. So there are no public meetings or courts of revision this evening. We'll move right to reports of staff and delegations. First one is the presentation of the 2015 Community Partner Award plaque by Mike Vanderlist. This is regard to Habitat for Humanity.
Hi, everybody.
Evening.
I'm going to tell a short story because I'm a storyteller and I know I'm limited to about 5 minutes, so I'm going to take less than that because she's looking at her watch already.
It's the big clock on the wall we use.
The idea is when I was a young person, my dad taught me a lesson because he grabbed hold of my wrist and he looked me straight in the eye and he said this: if you're going to cut a deal, go to the person, talk about it, and when you finish the deal, then you say thanks. You don't start buttering them up before the end of it because then it looks like you're trying to sweet talk them, and that's not how we do things. The deal's been done now. You sold us some property. We're going to build a home in your community. You backed our play when we announced we were coming in the fall of 2014 and supported us in every endeavor through 2015, from opening of the office on Talbot Street, which will now move over on March 5th with the opening of the Restore here in your community, which is signed for a 66-month lease. Basically, we're not leaving. We will house a family in your community by Christmas. And I can't tell you now, but we will be building, I won't say where, again in South Essex in 2017. The idea is this is not Windsor coming out, this is Habitat coming home. And the original three, Mary DeGuy, George Hildebrand, and Joe O'Neill, I'm trying to be in touch with the other two, but Joe, who sat at a kitchen table with the other two back in 1991, is going to be one of three to cut the ribbon on the store, which means our permanent presence in your community. And with your support, we were able to make this happen. And when I say we, it's a continuing mantra because if you take the letters from our name, it's Habitat for Humanity, WE. And we've said it since the beginning of last year, it's because we can do this. They don't let me build homes because I fall off the ladder or get stung in the face by bees. Or they make me cut weeds, and that sucks. The idea is every one of you, if you want to swing a hammer, you'll be better at that than me. So I hope everyone in the city of Leamington comes out because you're about to see what the greatest part of it is, and it's not just a home and a family. It comes back to the age-old thing being grassroots organization and the stone soup story. If everybody gives a little bit, what can you actually accomplish in this world? So, on behalf of Habitat for Humanity, Windsor Essex, councillors, deputy mayor, city administration team, it's not a lot. It's a little plaque, but it does have your name on it because I'd rather spend the money going towards a house. So on behalf of Habitat again, and everyone that you assisted by helping us arrive here, you have my deepest appreciation and thanks.
Thank you very much.
Next to John, you look perfect. Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to comment. He's the mayor.
Just press the wrong button. Yeah, I was.
You doing a photo
I was at the point.
That's hilarious.
There was no return. Here's what he's going to
She didn't see that.
Said it's going to be done by Christmas.
Yeah, starting in spring this summer.
Yeah. Well, it's an awesome way to start off the evening. So, and the home they're going to be building is down near the waterfront, correct? The parkland that we've taken some from and sold to them. So that'll be pretty exciting. Second item on the agenda is a presentation from Essex Power, Youth and Community Projects. And I know I saw Joe here. Joe Burrell is here. And a member of our Mayor's Youth Advisory is joining as well, or are they coming up afterwards, or?
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council and administration. Thanks for making a brief moment for this evening. As you are aware, Essex Power takes pride in providing safe and reliable power to the town of Leamington. And separate and apart from that, we recognize the importance of being more than just your local hydro company that makes sure the lights stay on. Our operating philosophy has been and will continue to be, and actually mandates that we not only service our shareholder communities, but we also become part of the social fabric of those communities. I've been here before with regards to the Youth and Community Fund. This is the third year that we've done this. We provide $10,000 to each of our shareholder communities. And as I was explaining to some of the youth that are here tonight that have benefited from the fund or that will benefit from the fund, is that we provide those funds with very general guidelines in terms of how the money is spent. It's really up to the shareholder, it's really up to the council and administration in terms of how those funds are directed towards the youth. And each community chooses different ways and different avenues for those funds to reach the youth. All we ask for at the end of the day is a report at the end of the year telling us how you spent the money. I'm especially happy tonight to actually put some of the faces to some of the things that you've done in this community, and some of those faces are sitting at the table here tonight. You know, it's one thing to read a report and say, we spent your money this way and this way and this way, and read the community organizations that have benefited from those funds, but it's another thing to see the actual youth that have benefited from those funds. I know administration could probably particularize where those funds have gone better than I can, because I don't have your report from last year in front of me. But thank you to council, and thank you to the youth that continue to benefit from the funds that we provide to your community.
Well, and from council back to Essex Power, thank you very much too. I think it's a great initiative, and I know we discussed it at the board level, but it is great to see that it's used so well in all our shareholder communities. So big thanks back to Essex Power. So I'm assuming the youth have some presentations to do as well. So I'll let you introduce yourself and speak away to council.
Good evening. I'm Carla Kroslack, and I'm a grade 9 student at UMEI Christian Academy. It is an honor to be here tonight and to have had the opportunity to participate in the complimentary access at the Leamington Kinsman Recreation Complex. I would like to thank Essex Power for their great generosity in benefiting our physical health. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Peter Bott. I'm a previous grade 9 student at LDSS. I'd also like to thank Essex Power for providing us an opportunity to go to the Shirk Complex, the Kingsman Recreation Complex, after school to go to the gym or on the weekends, we'd like to go and enjoy a free swim or a free skate, even on Friday nights when that was also available. So thank you to Essex Power for providing us that opportunity.
Hi, I'm Alexander McDonald, a proud LDSS Lion, and I'm here to say my thanks to the complex membership. I have missed working out over the last 3 weeks while I had to study for exams, but I was happy to get back to the complex today after school. Thank you, Essex Power. I'm really enjoying my membership at the Shirt Complex.
Excellent. Good news.
So before I leave, I've given the real check to administration, but I do have a check presentation for the funds that will be coming forth for this year.
All right. Are my other two members of MIAC presenting tonight as well? Okay, very good. So Joe, I'll meet you on the level, and actually Councilor Verbicki, if you'll join me. Maybe you'll join me too as Mayor of the Youth Advisory Committee next time. So then now, council members, these are some of the many youth that belongs to the Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee. So small presentation this evening.
Hello. We are the Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee, giving youth a voice. I'm Cameron Stockton,
I'm Kiara Clement.
And I'm Peter Bott.
and absent in tonight's presentation is Brianna Romanek, Carlos Pena, Valer Gaspard, and Julia Savo. So the purpose of the MIAC is providing youth an opportunity to learn about our municipality, an opportunity to communicate with mayor and council on important recreational, political, and social issues, and also to provide youth an opportunities for volunteer experience and encourage community involvement.
We are Leamington's future. When youth work together with their community, we can accomplish a lot.
We share announcements with our school student body. Hey CCS Lions, hey LDSS Lions, CCSS Cougars, and hey LDSS Lions. Leamington Town Council wants to hear from you. The Leamington Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee is excited to hear your opinions from local students regarding how we can make Leamington a better place for teenagers to live. If you have a great idea that you would like to share to improve our town, don't hesitate to get involved. Contact your school's representatives, or for more information, see the MIAC posters on our school bulletin boards.
Some recent, that's you, sorry.
We follow the municipality of Leamington on Facebook and Twitter, and we also follow and review council's agendas to learn what is happening in Leamington.
Some recent presentations. The LDSS Eco Team gave a presentation on Blue Dot, the desire for a healthy environment, which is already part of Leamington's strategic plan. Thank you, LDSS.
Youth always seems to be asking about a skate park, and we are really excited about Leamington's new waterfront development.
Leamington's MIAC have talked a lot about bullying and the effects that arise from youth and teens who are bullied, namely mental health and depression. Thanks to Leamington District Memorial Hospital's mental health department, who came and shared many of their resources with us. We could identify and better help our peers who are suffering from bullying.
And just a special thanks to Mayor John Patterson, Councillor Larry Verbeke, OPP Constable Kevin O'Neill, and Recreation Marketing Supervisor Brenda Fisher for taking the time to form and lead the MIAC and for listening to Leamington Youth.
Excellent.
That is all.
Once again, before you leave, though, just in case any council members have questions or comments, Councillor Jacobs.
Thank you, Worship. Very impressive. I'm proud of you guys. Just one quick question. I know I brought this up last year when you made a presentation as well, and I noticed the absence of UMEI from there. Are you?
We keep trying.
Yeah. No, I noticed that it's absent again today.
Actually, Mr. Neufeld and I went out to UMEI on a different matter. It was Government Week, I think it was, right? And we got into a much more in-depth discussion with the teachers. Their students, is much smaller school than either LD or Cardinal Carter, are so heavily focused on these kinds of things already in their own, the Mennonite community, that to find even more time to come out to the Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee is difficult. But they continue to promote it and try to make that happen. So, yeah.
I thank you for the explanation, and congratulations to all of you. I think it's a great movement, and you're doing great. Thank you.
All right, so then we will move on from the pleasantries to the work. First report is one regarding the Small Communities Fund application for East Street South, Conover, Stewart, Forest, and Alan is taking us through this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report before you is to update Council regarding the 2015 intake of the Small Communities Fund program and to request that Council approve for the submission of an application under this same program. In 2015, and with Council's approval, the municipality submitted an expression of interest for funding under this program. The selected project, if you look at the map here on my left, was for the reconstruction of roads, sewers, and water main in the neighborhood east of Seacliff Park and south of Seacliff Drive. In this area here, this is Seacliff Park. The beach area is here, our dock, and we're looking at sewer separation and reconstruction in this area of Forest, Conover, Stewart, and Erie South. So what will we be applying for? The project we estimate at approximately $4 million, and we're applying for 50% funding at $2 million. We feel the project hits the parameters of the program, things like separation of combined sewers and sewer overflows, separating stormwater collection systems from other sanitary sewer systems, reducing the volume and incidence of discharge of untreated wastewater effluent as a result of sanitary sewer or combined sewer overflows, and just generally improving the reliability and performance of our collection system. The municipality has been improving our sewer system south of Seacliff Drive between Erie Street South and Seacliff Park. Over the last 5 years, Erie Street South sanitary pumping station has been rebuilt. We rebuilt the force main from that pumping station up to Seacliff Drive. We've refurbished the Erie Street South storm sewer outfall through the provisions in the Erie Street South Storm Sewer Outfall Environmental Study Report. And that same report outlined a plan, a longer-term plan, a multi-step plan to improve our waterfront and water quality in the Great Lakes. So through this program, we'd be replacing some obsolete infrastructure that impacts Leamington's waterfront and Seacliff Park. It supports the renewal of the environment, economic growth, and thereby Council's longer-term goals for the waterfront experience. And again, just looking at the map, the combined sewer system in this area does drain to the south. There is a combined sewer overflow here just south of Robson Road. So when we do get heavier rainfall, that sewage goes directly out into the lake through the storm sewer outfall. And it's just in the vicinity of Seacliff Park, Seacliff Beach, the dock, and the marina area here, and the lands here along Foster Avenue. Within this sewer separation program, which again is estimated at approximately $4 million, we're estimating that through the local improvement process, we'd be recouping approximately $400,000 from the benefiting properties. And we believe that this project, if approved, would go forward over about a 3-year period for construction, and the construction would start in 2018. At this time, there's no financial impact to submit this application, but rather a commitment from council to enter into a funding agreement for the project. And we're asking that council receive this report for information, and that administration prepare and submit an application to the Small Communities Fund program of 2015 for partial funding of the Erie Street South, Conover, Stewart Forest Sewer Separation Program.
Thank you very much, Alan. Questions? Moved by Councillor Hammond. Supported by Councillor Jacobs. Councillor Jacobs, did you also have a comment, question? Okay.
Thank you. Great news, by the way. But I'm just curious, Alan, you've got like 4 days to get this in. Are we prepared to do that? I know before we were looking at doing shovel-ready projects in case funding became available so we could submit on them. But is 4 days enough time for you guys? Have you got everything in line?
Yes. The application's ready to go. A council resolution is just one attachment we need to include with our application.
Mr. Neufeld?
Just quickly on that, this is the second step of this application. So we put the application in fall, I believe.
The expression of interest, yes.
Yeah, the expression of interest. So it has come back saying, please proceed to the next step. So we've had our information ready to go, and that's why the timing of this is, we just need council's approval tonight, and away it goes.
Usually is. No further questions? All in favor of the motion then? Opposed? Carried. Next item on the agenda is one regarding facility use agreement. And I believe Amanda's taking us through.
Thank you, Mayor Patterson, and good evening, members of council. This report is to recommend that the municipality enter into a facility space agreement with Queen of Peace Elementary School to utilize the Leamington Kinsman Recreation Complex, specifically the Highbury Canco Arena, in the event that there is an emergency situation at their school requiring the students and administration to evacuate their school. A request to utilize our facility was given to the municipality in early January. I've had an opportunity to review the request with our fire chief as well as with Leamington OPP and EMS. They have no concerns with utilizing our facility for an evacuation location. We would be a secondary evacuation location for Queen of Peace. The board has to undertake an emergency evacuation review of other locations that they could essentially direct their students and their administration to. We were identified at the recreation complex as being a secondary site in the event that their primary location would be unavailable. And for information, it's not in the report, but their primary location is Cardinal Carter, so it would only be in a situation that both schools would be evacuated at the same time. Within our lease agreement, there are a number of articles that would have to be met, and they primarily relate to notification, having a staff liaison between the municipality with the school board, some comments regarding diligence and care, because you are dealing with a population that is predominantly children and youth, as well as a discussion around if there was any damages or costs incurred by the municipality, then those would be essentially charged back to the school board for recovery. Council is not mandated to support the agreement. However, we do have a similar agreement in place with Cardinal Carter secondary school. That report was brought a number of years ago. And if there was no support for this report, the board in its entirety would have to go back and reevaluate all of their emergency measures. As I noted in the report, there's no financial impact related to signing a facility use agreement, and that the recommendation would be to proceed with authorizing the facility use agreement.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Dunn.
Through your worship. Amanda, we talked briefly about that cogeneration, and with this coming to light, would that push that, getting a report on that a little more to the forefront?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, that report again would have to be brought back to council and further identify the areas that would benefit from cogeneration at the recreation complex. The complex is already identified as the primary emergency evacuation location for the municipality in the event that a municipal-wide emergency took place. With respect to evacuating the schools, this would be if there was an emergency situation specifically at the schools and those students had to be evacuated. Potentially, there could be a situation where the whole municipality would be affected, in which case we would have to open our doors anyways. So perhaps this type of report could speed up future reports, but it would really be at the direction of council when the cogen report comes forward for discussion.
So if I'm understanding what you're trying to say is that if there's an emergency situation at one of the two or both of the schools that isn't affecting the rest of the community, then our complex is where those schools would empty into for the time being. So the cogen wouldn't necessarily matter at that time. But for an overall situation, if we were totally shut down, then yeah, we have to take a look at that, which we have tried several times. Councillor Jacobs.
Thank you. And along the line with Councillor Dunn's comments, though, without the ability to provide electricity to that site, is it really an effective shelter? I guess where I'm going with this. I mean, maybe they should be looking at an alternative. Not that I'm saying we can't provide them with some assistance. However, I would think without the availability of electricity, and I believe Councillor Hammond brought up at budget that there's not even a receptacle so we could do outside power to the complex. So I'm just wondering, is it really a primary location for these people?
Sure. So just again to review a bit of the process that we undertook, the board has to identify a primary and secondary location. So in the case of Cardinal Carter a number of years ago, their primary evacuation would be at the recreation complex. In Queen of Peace's situation, they would evacuate their students first to Cardinal Carter because it's the closest property that the board would oversee. If both schools had to be evacuated, then yes, they would come to our facility. But an evacuation could take place for a wide variety of reasons. One could be because of electrical or hydro issues, but there could also be potential gas leak. There could be a bomb threat, an intruder, an active shooter, which we don't really talk about very often, but those are all, scary situations that the emergency services personnel have to deal with. So in those cases, the likelihood of having an electrical emergency on top of a regular reason to evacuate a school could be, just further down the line. But it is part of their hazard assessment, and that's why the complex has been identified as a large venue to house all those students first. And then also, too, I think I had outlined it in the report, the emergency situation would only be during regular school hours. So we would only be responsible as a municipality to house the children until approximately 3:15, 3:30 in the afternoon. So again, it would be a shortened time frame, but I do hear your concerns when it comes to providing power and electrical during an emergency situation. So I do hear where you're coming from.
And I appreciate your comments. I guess going back to it, though, if you evacuated these schools during the daylight hours, like the only power you really have is emergency lighting within the facility. you know, you've got, I don't know how many hundreds of kids would be in there, but, you know, you got little spotlights all over. But I would really think and recommend that they look for an alternative site until we're able to do something with that, because it could be a problem within a problem right there. But that's my comments.
Yep. Okay. Councillor Wilkinson?
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, I'm glad we can accommodate this request. I'm just wondering, we have other schools in the neighborhood, Margaret E. Benny, LDSS is going to be built over there soon. Has any of their schools ever approached us with a similar request? And I wonder, if they haven't, should we maybe extend an invite like this to them that we're doing Queen of Peace and Cardinal Carter in the past?
So the Public School Board has not approached us. Following the review of the emergency process with Cardinal Carter, we did extend a conversation to the principal at Margaret D. Benny, and at the time it was just thanks for the information, and we'll move it up to the Public School Board Directors of Education for review. So at this point, we just have facility use agreements with the Catholic School Board.
Councillor Hammond?
Your Worship, thank you. Amanda, just a very small point. I'm looking at the A of the specific clauses, and I just wondered if we couldn't add in there, if it shouldn't be added in there, just enclosing hers or his designate.
Yes, certainly, Councillor. That is actually specified in more clarity within the actual agreement that the school board would be signing.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Verbicki?
Yes, Worthy Mayor, thank you. I didn't realize that emergencies had a timeline, so I'm really kind of puzzled about the 3:15. So if 3:15 comes, we just say you got to go out?
Buses will be coming to pick them up, undoubtedly.
But if it's if it's a lockdown, that's different. If it's a tornado, that's, the road. So, I mean, are we able to keep them there longer if we had to?
Amanda?
So in the past, with, again, the other agreement that we did a lot of review with, the expectation is that the school would be dismissed as per normal, and that the buses would be directed to pick up the children, or the students, I should refer to them as, from the Leamington Kinsman Recreation Complex. We had a situation where there was a gas leak, where the students from Cardinal Carter were actually dropped off first at the recreation complex, and then were dismissed from the complex to go back to their high school. So it's really up to the board's direction how they wish to dismiss the youth. Specifically with tornado or other weather emergencies, I would really leave that direction up to the emergency manager or the emergency response team at the time of the event to determine what the next best steps are for evacuating the youth or dismissing the children.
Now, Worthy Mayor, I still would like to hear a backup plan, just in case. I mean, you could say you could push it off on somebody else, but I don't know who we would talk to give us the whole, because we've had the incident. Heaven forbid something does happen, and it doesn't look like the new high school is even going to get a track, let alone a generator. But if I had to bet my money, I'd be coming to the town hall because it's got a generator. So I'd like to see that clarification on emergency situation with the timelines better prepared and stuff.
Okay. Mr. Neufeld?
I appreciate the comments of council, and administration is working diligently to look at this cogen operation to provide electricity during those emergencies. But this agreement, we need to focus in right on the words within this agreement on page 20 of 22, the last paragraph, that it defines the time frame. It says an emergency situation would only be designated during school hours. So this is, and specifically it says September through June, Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 3:15. I think what we want to be careful about doing here with this particular agreement, what we're talking about is an emergency at their school, not within the entire municipality. All right, so the issue that's happening at that school, they need shelter. They need a place to go as an alternative to the school. This really isn't designed for, this agreement isn't about municipal-wide emergencies. This is specifically to their school, and so they need a place to go. I hope that's helpful.
Okay. So we do have a recommendation before us, moved by Councillor Dunn and Councillor Hammond. Discussion on that motion. All in favor? And carried. We have an addendum this evening. First matter is the extension of draft plan approval. And Danielle?
Thank you, Mayor Patterson, members of council. We have received a request to extend the draft approval given for the Demore subdivision. So that's the subdivision that's yet to be built. It's located at the northwest intersection of the East Side Arterial Road and Seacliff Drive East. It received draft approval from the County of Essex in 2013, and the draft approval allows for the creation of 44 residential lots in the layout that's shown on the display. The applicant has indicated that the development hasn't started at this time due to economic demand for residential lots. So that final approval for the extension comes from the County of Essex. However, this is our opportunity to reconsider the draft approval based on any significant changes that have happened since then, so any changes we've had with respect to policies or development standards. Administration is satisfied that the plan of subdivision is an appropriate use of lands that are designated for residential development within our primary settlement area. We have sufficient capacity in our sanitary and our water system to hold these lots for another 3 years. However, since the original approval, the provincial policy statement 2000 is that they do require us to consider walkability and connectivity between destinations and neighborhoods. So this request would be an opportunity to require a planned pedestrian connection prior to the sale of any of the lands in the subdivision, prior to any homes being constructed. That pedestrian link would provide residents within Antonio Court access to future sidewalks along Seacliff. It does remain administration's position that the extension of the existing pedestrian walkway from Antonio Court through what would be lots 8 and 9 should be provided and installed by the developer. However, we're not in a position to revisit that issue without council's direction or support or input from the residents at this time, though we do feel it's appropriate to support the request to extend the draft approval with the understanding that we would like to look at it again with council. We have advised the applicant that we do have this position and they understand the timing aspect involved right now. So at this time, it is our recommendation that the request to extend the draft approval for the Demore Plan of Subdivision for another 3 years, so from 2016 to 2019, be approved, and that we forward that resolution of support to the County of Essex for the final extension.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions? Moved by Councillor Jacobs with a question, support by Councillor Wilkinson. Councillor Jacobs?
Thank you, Worship. Danielle, have they expressed to you any time limits? Or are they just looking for this extension? Like, do they plan on going ahead in the near future there, or any indication?
I briefly spoke to the representative of Demore. They do have servicing plans, which represents a financial commitment into moving ahead, so they are interested in moving ahead, just timing's not right now.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Danielle. My interest was piqued with the talk about the connection between Antonio Park and the Demore subdivision, because I was one of the councillors that definitely did not want that at the time. But I see that when the provincial policy statement requires, it's much different than the provincial policy statement suggests. So I guess we don't have a lot of leeway when it comes to that. But I'm not going to argue it, because I feel that this is a straight pathway, where the one that we had the problems with on Joanne Court had a dog leg in it, and that gave the miscreants, if we will, the opportunity to hide in that little dog leg, and they could do whatever they wanted to do, whether it was graffiti or steal or any kind of vandalism that they chose to do at the time, although I think that's kind of died off now. But anyway, what I would like to see us do when this comes through, because I'm fine with this, once I see that word require, there's no point in beating our heads against a brick wall. But I would like us to look at having that pathway lit, particularly now with the type of lighting that we have in the municipality. It probably wouldn't take a lot of lights. And I find that the new lights really shine down and quite a ways out. So that could preempt that type of a situation from happening again. So I just wanted to say to you that I'm fine with that when that is the direction of the provincial policy statement.
Councillor Dunn? Hit it?
Yeah, Hilda, Deputy Mayor.
Okay. No further questions? And there is a motion on the floor. It's already been moved and seconded. Well, let's just slow it down. No, I'm just kidding. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? And carried. Next item on the agenda is one regarding the economic adjustment, and Mr. Neufeld's taking us through that.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a brief report. You will recall just last week during council deliberations that we pointed out that the increases in the salaries and wages included a 2% economic adjustment for our non-union and salaried staff. So this report is coming forward just for formal approval of those increases. You'll read in the report that the non-union staff and salaried staff have not had an increase for 2 years because they too were willing to take a 0% increase during that time because of the Heinz announcement. So I think the 2% is appropriate, but I've added something else, which is a one-time gratuitous offer, which is to recognize our staff for doing so, for being willing to take that 0%, and that is to offer one floater day in each of 2016 and 2017 to be taken with the agreement and approval of their manager. This doesn't hit the budget, but it does show some appreciation for their willingness to take 0%. You can see in the report that I've added that this floater day would not be paid out if it wasn't taken. It's a use it or lose it scenario, but I think it's appropriate to offer something extra to our hardworking staff. So that is my recommendation that Council approve the 2% economic adjustment. The financial impact, I'm sorry, I jumped over that. A 2% increase would have a financial impact of approximately $91,000, just a little over $91,000 for 2016. So my recommendation is that Council approve the 2% wage adjustment for non-union staff, and which includes Council, crossing guards, and part-time employees, summer students, and members of the Committee of Adjustment, Leamington's Police Services Board, and the Union Water Joint Board of Management, and also approve the one floater day for each of 2016 and 2017. Thank you.
Councillor Hammond?
I'll move the report.
Okay, thank you. Support by Councillor Dunn. Questions? All in favor of the motion then? And carried. We have a report on closed session.
A closed meeting was held at 5:45 p.m. prior to the open session of Council pursuant to subsection 239(2)B for the purpose of considering confidential report LLS 0816 dated February the 4th, 2016 regarding amendment to agreement. Proper notice of the meeting was given. The meeting adjourned at 5:52 p.m. During the meeting, direction was provided to administration to bring forward the following motion to public session for consideration: that Council authorize the entering into of an amendment agreement, amending the terms of the agreement between the municipality and Peter Neufeld as outlined in confidential report LLS 0816, and that the mayor be authorized to execute the same.
Okay, moved by Councillor Verbicki, and support by Councillor Wilkinson. Discussion on the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Consideration of bylaws.
Bylaw 9-16 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of Council of the Municipality of Leamington at its meetings held February 3rd, 4th, 8th, 2016.
Looking for a mover, seconder, or deputy mayor? Councillor Dunn. Discussion on the motion. All in favor? And carried. There were no notices of motion circulated, so we're in open session. Nobody? Not even me. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Deputy Mayor, pardon? Oh, upcoming meetings. I didn't print my upcoming meeting sheet off, so. That's 2 mistakes tonight, trust me. Oh, sorry, Councillor Wilkinson. Non-debatable?
Thank you, Worship. I got a couple things tonight, actually, a couple thank yous and an invite, actually. I want to send a thank you out to our pollution control plant, who gave me a tour on Thursday afternoon last week. Very impressive with what Shannon and Jason showed me down there. Incredibly impressive facility. After that, Tracy and Amanda took me on a tour of the Sure Complex, equally impressive. Thank you to everyone involved. I want to send an invite out to the general public, this council, administration. Leamington Arts Center has got one of their major fundraisers coming up here Friday, March 4th, called the March Masquerade. Starts at 7 o'clock p.m. Advance tickets are on sale right now for $25 and $30 at the door. LEC could use the support and help. Please come out and visit one of Leamington's treasures. It's a fantastic place, and the group could really use everybody's help. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So announcement of upcoming meetings then. Tuesday, February the 9th, we have the Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee meeting here at Town Hall at 7 p.m. Thursday, February 11th, IRCA meeting, 7 p.m. County Building. Wednesday, February 17th, Leamington Accessibility Advisory Committee, 3 p.m. West End Boardroom. And Monday, February 22nd, Council meeting at 6 p.m. Whoa, that was canceled, sorry. So it will be actually on Monday, March the 8th, 6 p.m. in the Council chambers here. Statement members, we did that already, non-debatable, so I'll move to adjourn. Councillor Verbicki says yes. Deputy Mayor says yes. All in favor of adjourning? And we're all in favor. Thank you.